Welcome to another edition of Chocobo Chasers. I am G. As always, I'm joined by the Chocobros, Erik and Dash. How are you guys doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Pretty well.
Yeah, I said tonight. It's actually more of like today. We're
Nah,
doing
it's
this a little
tonight.
bit
Don't let
earlier.
anybody fool you, bro.
It's
Uh,
6:30. That's almost night.
yeah. So, as always, we've got some pretty fun stuff planned for the show. And as always, be sure to like, share, subscribe wherever you go ahead and get your podcast. Your view of the show, if you're watching us on YouTube, may be a little bit different this week. We have actually transitioned away from our previous, regular Zoom setup, moving to Riverside.fm. Big thanks to Adam from Saints Block Party Podcast for the referral. That is the one they use. So hopefully you'll get to see us a little bit more active on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, that kind of stuff. We think this is going to be really helpful for us. So thanks everybody for the support as always. We're excited to find new ways to get our audience engaged, and stay tuned because we're going to have some fun stuff coming up. So as we always typically do, let's go ahead and let's get started with a What Are You Playing? Erik, I'm actually going to have you go ahead and start us off this week.
So, kind of more of the same. I played some Madden. Got my third Super Bowl with CJ Stroud in the gang. Arizona Cardinals. Shout out. Not much else going on that. I played some more Counter-Strike with the boys and some Valorant over the weekend. But I actually got into something, and I guess we'll get into this later because I don't know if anybody's seen the controversy around Tarkov.
Oh, but, we're going to get to it.
And Battlestate games. So I decided to download and try out a mod for Tarkov that's not exactly loved by Battlestate called Single Player Tarkov, where basically it's just single player Tarkov. They have AI bots. There's all kinds of people have modded the game to make the playthrough as well as you can. It's people who got tired of running into all the cheaters on Tarkov, and they just said, fuck it, we're going to do this. We don't care if Battlestate likes it. All you have to do, it's pretty simple install. I won't go into too much details. You can just go look up single player Tarkov, and it does it all for you. You just got to delete their anti-cheat, and then you won't get banned, because if you don't delete the anti-cheat, you're getting banned from Tarkov. But I played that, and it's actually a ton of fun. Like, the AI is actually, like, there's mods to make it like you're actually playing against actual players, and it's the most fun I think I've ever had playing Tarkov. And that's saying a lot because I had a lot of fun this past wipe up until a certain point, and I just got bored.
That is actually pretty crazy. We're definitely going to expand a little bit more on Tarkov, because obviously there's been quite a bit of controversy, which we'll dive into a little bit later into the show. And Erik, I think you'll kind of be spearheading that conversation. So Tarkov and Madden, is that it for you this week, man?
Pretty much. And then just like the Counter-Strike and the Valorant, got some dubs with the boys. That's it.
Hell yeah.
A few things better than getting dubs with the homies.
It's very true. So this week I have been playing, I've mentioned it over the last few weeks, I've been running through the Metal Gear Solid franchise for the first time. And it's been quite the journey. Played Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, and really just absolutely adored all three of them. I ran into some issues because I don't own a PS3, and Metal Gear Solid 4 is only available on the PS3, and Peace Walker is only available on either PS3 or PSP. Through the luck of emulation, I was able to go ahead and get Metal Gear Solid 4 running on my PC. I have not started it yet. I have played Metal Gear Solid 5 for a few hours so far, and I do not like it as much as I like the other games.
It also makes zero fucking sense right off the bat.
Yeah. There's a few different things. So let's start with the positives, because there definitely are some. It has the crispest gameplay from like a stealth perspective than any of the other games. You have this huge plethora of weapons. The building out your base as Big Boss is really cool. I love also just being able to take people that I am like fighting in mission and trank them and then just pop them up in my balloon and they go flying away. That's really cool. And there's a lot of like developmental aspects of the game which are really great, and you can see taking the series to new heights. Few things that I don't love. There are times that it feels like a giant ad. Like, oh, they're wearing Ray-Ban sunglasses, and it's like the special model that was probably made for the game, and it's just like, this is so dumb. I do think it's weird that Ocelot is also voiced by Troy Baker, and he doesn't sound like Ocelot very much. Like, I could see the MGS 3 to the older version. I could actually see that. There's a few, like, and from a storytelling perspective, I'm about 10 missions in. I know that there's like close to like 50, so I'm not super far into it, but I'm far enough in that, like, I can say that the story is very slow rolling, and I don't like that. Like, you'll go through missions and it doesn't really push the story forward. It's just like, go do this, go kidnap these people, go assassinate these people, and there's just, it's very so I played Ground Zeroes first because that's what you're supposed to do, and it's supposed to be kind of an introduction. I didn't realize that it was just one level, and then it just moves you into the Phantom Pain. And also, hey, by the way, there's 9 years time jump from Ground Zeroes to Phantom Pain. So we'll see. Like, we'll see if I enjoy it more. It's very firmly on the bottom of my MGS rankings. I'm hoping to start 4 tonight, so that by the time we talk next time, maybe I beat it, or at least
I thought you had the emulator up by now.
I have it up.
Okay.
It's just, I had Metal Gear Solid 5 already installed on my PS5, and I had been working to get the emulator and the ROM and everything already, and it was a matter of convenience. I was already playing PlayStation. It's like, well, you know what, I have this, and I know that MGS 5 takes place between, chronologically, right after 3, and I guess it's technically right after Peace Walker. I posted a thing on Reddit talking about, like, hey, why is this game so different? And everybody's like, well, you should play Peace Walker first. Like, it's basically Peace Walker 2, and the missions are kind of the same way. So apparently I need to play Peace Walker, but
it is a good one, yeah.
I will play it eventually. I absolutely plan to. But okay, I'll blame Konami for this because it's not available on fucking consoles right now. So
it's
whatever.
Coming. It's gotta be coming.
It is coming, and I'll say this: even though I have an emulated version and I own, basically Metal Gear Solid 5, the definitive experience, I will buy that one because I would like to have Peace Walker and 4 playable, because it's always more comfortable to have it like on my DualSense and everything. Like, that is absolutely like a priority. So once it's available, we'll definitely play. So I played some of that. Another one that is going to be kind of just out of the randomness. So Gene Park is the writer for the Washington Post who covers all things gaming. And he has been posting this week about a game that has actually gotten delisted from PlayStation and Xbox Marketplace, and that is Transformers Devastation. I, realizing that I owned this game because it was a PlayStation Plus free game at one point, and it's still in my library. So I took that as a sign, hey, maybe I should play this game. It's pretty fun. Definitely going back and diving into it. It is not like the most varied gameplay style. It's a lot of just kind of like beat 'em up, and you can play as a few of the different Autobots. Bumblebee and Optimus obviously are two of the main ones, but it's a lot of fun. Honestly, would highly recommend it if you've never played it. It's in the animation style of the original 80s show, and the voices are also those of the original, so it's a lot of nostalgia just kind of creeping up. So definitely would recommend it if you've never played it. So played a little bit of that. Also, I'm on a Kojima fix right now, so naturally that means I've been playing a little bit of Death Stranding as well. I have not played the director's cut of Death Stranding, so I'm getting a little bit more into that.
If you really want to add to that Kojima fix, you gotta get into Zone of the Enders.
Honestly,
Zone of the Enders is fucking
looking
awesome.
into it. So, but I will say Death Stranding really may still be one of the most beautiful games ever made. Looks absolutely great. I still think Ghost of Tsushima is probably the best looking game ever, but Death Stranding definitely way up there. And then another very out of the random game, I've been just all over the place this week, is Nier Replicant. I really enjoy Nier Automata. I've never finished Nier Replicant, and I know it's just as heartbreaking and just as awful as Automata is, and but it's great. It's really a great game. I absolutely love it. I don't know why I never finished it. From a storytelling perspective, from a gameplay perspective, it's just a really fun game. And I've been seeing all these videos for Stellar Blade, and Stellar Blade just reminds me so much of the Nier series. So gonna go ahead and hopefully finish that up over the next few weeks, and we'll see what ends up happening. But I think that's it for me. So Dash, what about you?
Started off with, let's do some like infection free zone. Still doing that. This time I started a match in Cambridge, UK. So maybe our UK listeners might know that area. But just imagine that. But it's a zombie apocalypse. I'm building a base around that university area. Did a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3 multiplayer. So I actually got back into playing it a bit more since... Actually, I haven't played it much since I initially beat it, so this is like my first time getting back into it. I probably should do another playthrough now that I think about it, with all the patches and the epilogue shit they've done.
Yeah.
So, but I'm rolling 2 campaigns in multiplayer. One where we got 3 people, and I'm running the Oath of Vengeance Paladin. And another one where we got the 4 people, and I'm running the 4 Elements Monk. And on that one, we're playing tactical, and somehow we're actually getting by pretty well. I don't think we've had to wipe or reset many times, even when we aggroed like the entire goblin temple all at once. Because I took like that shaman's body and just threw it out in front of everybody. I'm just like, look at this. I didn't think it would actually aggro everybody, but it did. So we had to fight them.
And then throwing a comrade's body would just alert the whole camp.
We spend a lot of time throwing stuff at NPCs and stuff, so it'll be like, we were in the Druid's Grove, and there's like one area where this Druid's like trying to heal a bird, and I just take the bird and chuck it and aggro the Druid at that point. Oh man. We had to kill the Druid Grove in that playthrough because Halcyon died in the Goblin Temple also, so...
I did it the first time, so...
Oh, I remember you saying that. I forgot all about that.
We didn't kill him. Huh? He just died when we were fighting the bugbear, and the bugbear knocked him down into the spider pit.
That might do it.
So that was our experience, and that's where we left off, I believe. But it's really fun playing Baldur's Gate 3 multiplayer. I know you can't really focus on the story when you're doing it because everybody's just spamming the skip button through dialogue. So it's not like you're really there for the story. You're just there to screw around and mess with your friends. Let's see. Did a little bit of Dave the Diver because it's free on PlayStation Plus now. And I know that was like one of the big indie games of last year. I think, did it win?
Let me look that up.
Or no, continue. maybe that was that was probably Sea of Stars.
So, best indie game.
It was nominated at least.
It was absolutely nominated. So, best indie game according to the Game Awards was actually Cocoon last year.
Huh.
Or that was best debut indie game.
Yeah,
the awards are kind of.
I think there's that whole controversy about Dave the Diver because it wasn't technically an indie game because it had a major publisher behind it.
So the nominees last year were Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Viewfinder, and Sea of Stars, with Sea of Stars winning.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, played it for a good couple of hours just to, get a feel for it. You go down, dive, catch fish, collect stuff. You can find weapons and stuff to shoot the fish to make them easier to collect. But then at night, you take all the fish that you collect, you turn it into sushi, and it's kind of like a diner dash mode at that point, I guess, where you're just running back and forth, taking the food to the guests as they order it, clean the station, pour their drinks, that kind of stuff. It's not really in-depth, and probably not... Maybe it's because it's early game still. Maybe there's not much more depth to that part of the game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, hey, I think it's like a $20 experience, and it's really fun. I could see myself playing it quite a bit more, because it seems like anytime you dive, it's not always the same, so there is some variability there. But you just gotta upgrade your equipment so you can dive further, stay down longer, because early game, you just barely get that much carry weight and oxygen to be able to stay down there, and you can't go too far down. Crappy harpoon gun can't even kill stuff in one hit once you go down too far. And finally, to round it out, I've been doing a lot more Fallout New Vegas. Did like the whole loop around, going around south. So, did the Nipton and Boulder City and that ghoul thing where you launched them in the space or whatever, in the rockets, and the Helios 1 thingy power station. Finally got to New Vegas and met House, and I think that's where I left it off at that point.
Hell yeah.
And that's been my week.
So that's a light week in terms of dash standards.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I'm
usually
used to playing.
I mean, some of these games,
30 games deep.
some of these games, I play for like a good, like, I mean, infection-free zone. I played probably. Let me check Steam and see how much I put into it recently.
It'll give you your last like week's total, right? Or I guess it's just recently is what it
I got
said.
total like 24 hours in this game, but
Okay.
like I think on that Cambridge run, I'm like up to like day 40, and that's quite a bit of playtime. That's like maybe 6-7 hours, I'd say.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, kind of like life been keeping me busy, so maybe
No,
I haven't gotten.
I think we all have those moments. I've been taking care of a sick wife over the last few days, so it's never a situation that's obviously going to be conducive to plenty of gaming. But obviously, those things also take precedence over this kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I think I spent like a whole day basically doing the Fallout New Vegas stuff though. So
Yeah.
a lot of exploration and just run around.
So as we've made a priority over the last few weeks, we have also been talking about, if we have our previous guests who are showing up at new games, we want to be sure to go ahead and highlight those. So this is actually kind of a perfect segue because we were going to go ahead and talk about this ID Xbox showcase. For those who are unaware, this was more of an indie games showcase for Xbox specifically. These games were not going to be exclusive to Xbox, but they, were the marketing partner for some of these games. There were some that were existing. We got Pal World, Vampire Survivors, and then we got some that we haven't really seen. Some of our previous guests were also part of this showcase, which is super, super exciting. First, we want to go ahead and shout out Mike Laidlaw because we got to see some footage from their new game, Eternal Strands, which looks awesome. It is available to wishlist now on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. You can see a lot of different influences in this game. Erik mentioned it kind of before the show started. Breath of the Wild, you can, from just like being able to traverse like any kind of landscape and crawl. You see Shadow of the Colossus as a lot of the things that you're fighting are giant, and you get to climb on top, and there's like different hit points like across the body of these huge foes. And then from the art style perspective, there's kind of a few different influences that you can kind of see there. But they talked about it in the video. It's really exciting to get to see Yellow Brick Games, who Mike Laidlaw is with right now. This is a game they've been working on for a few years now, and this is their first game that's coming out. So I'm very, very excited to be able to, they're showing it. It's not the first reveal. I think they had the first one a few weeks ago, but this is our first kind of in-depth look at it. And they talked a lot about, different people at the studio. It's just really exciting. We're excited to see Mike. Obviously, Mike has had his kind of pause in gaming for 20 plus years. He's kind of one of the OGs. So getting to see what they've been working on is very, very exciting. We've been chatting it up with their social a little bit. Just really, really excited there. And also we wanted to shout out our good buddy, Doug Cockle, who is going to be in Tales of Iron 2. He was in Tales of Iron 1. And anytime you hear that grisly voice, coming through, it's like, man, I know that guy. He is just one of the coolest people that we have had the chance to talk with. And he's very passionate about his work and very, very excited to see him in there. So we definitely wanted to take a second to go ahead and shout those guys out. But let's go ahead and let's talk about this ID showcase, because like I said, they talked a lot about a lot of indie games. We're getting to see, indie games are one of those things that we've talked about that creators get a chance to really be as creative as possible, because there is a lot less constraints from, a investor standpoint. You usually get to make games that, you really want to make. And also, Rhiannon Mausha, when we interviewed her, she said she loved getting to, work with indie developers because it's a much more hands-on process. So there's a few new stuff coming on, but anything that kind of jumped out to you guys during that conference at all?
Commandos. If you ever Yeah, if you've ever played Commandos, it's a really great classic game series. I grew up playing that shit. But you have like all these specialized like World War II setting where you just have like these special commando kind of people. So you got like the Green Beret, the sniper, the diver, swim guy or whatever. You'll have like a deployable boat. You got the explosives guy, the vehicle guy, the spy, and the doctor. And you just use all their special abilities to complete specific missions and stuff. Did I say the sniper? I feel like I did, but yeah. The sniper's a good one. Really good game series. I'm looking forward to seeing if they can innovate it a bit more for like the modern age now, because there's been like the 3 main Commando games, I think, and that's all that they've had since then. And Commandos 3 came out probably like 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. One that kind of jumped out to me is sorry, I'm pulling up the list.
21 years. Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a long fucking time. So Lost Records Bloom and Rage. This title got announced at the Game Awards last year, but it's created by Don't Nod, who, if you're not familiar, they're the creators of Life is Strange. Unlike kind of some of their previous games, which were set in like, modern periods. So all of the Life is Strange games take place in current time. This one's actually set in the 90s. It's got a lot of just like 90s vibes that kind of go throughout the entirety of the trailer. But it takes that same, strong narrative, story driven style game that we've come to know and love from them. So that's definitely the one that, jumped out to me. The 33 Immortals, which was a game that was announced last year. The closed beta is going to start May 24th. That was also another game that kind of jumped out, just being able to play, 33 player co-op on a roguelike, which if you've seen some of the gameplay, it's very, kind of Vampire Survivors meets Hades.
Which we did get more Vampire Survivors, and now I got more achievements I gotta do. So that's Sisyphus's rock whatever. Just gotta keep pushing it up a hill.
Dash just raging because his 100% will never just maintain.
I'm not gonna rage. I love Vampire Survivors. Keep giving me more.
Eric, I know you didn't have a chance to see the conference while it was happening, but was there any titles that kind of stuck out to you at all?
Yeah, Flora of the Sundered Tribes looks pretty cool. It's like a Monster Hunter, but you also have tribe management. So like just a little bit of the trailer looked pretty awesome. It looked like you had some, and I'm kind of scrolling back through it now. It almost kind of reminds me like, you've got like these wings and you just fly around fighting big old monsters. The combat looks a lot of fun. And it also kind of has like a lot of games seem to be going with that kind of like Zelda-ish look for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
It definitely seems very popular right now.
And but man, it looks good. So that was number one. All the other ones are kind of not really my thing.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of indie games.
Yeah.
Some stuff that's
very niche stuff.
Yes. But I mean, that's what we're talking about.
That's where the real passion of the industry is. No offense to some of the AAA developers out there, but like you see really great passion projects that you can't do in AAA because it's about profit. It's about, getting the biggest market possible. So
yeah, absolutely. And so in addition to this showcase, it actually has just been announced today. You saw it from Phil Spencer and from the Xbox accounts. We have got an Xbox showcase upcoming, and this is a big one. So this is a big summer showcase. I fully expect we'll probably get some information from PlayStation as well, because that's typically how these tends, fall. We'll get it like a week after, or maybe the week before, something to that extent. But Microsoft is officially holding its big summer showcase June 9th, and it's going to be directly followed by a quote unquote unknown game. It's Call of Duty. They're going to announce the next one. It appears to be something in the Black Ops range. And so Xbox, obviously we've got a few games that have not gotten release dates that I fully expect that will in this showcase. I'm thinking probably Indiana Jones is going to get a release date.
Maybe you'll see more for State of Decay 3 finally.
Maybe we'll see Fable. I'm thinking that we will also... I'm thinking we're going to get Gear 6. I think this is finally where it's going to go ahead and
They got like the redacted showcase, which means they got something they're going to reveal and they're going to show a lot of it if they're going to make a whole showcase out of it.
Yeah, and as you know, as customary, I think we'll probably get like Flight Simulator 2024 because I've actually never played those games. I think I'd like to, but I've also heard it's very heavy on the specs required to be able to go
Yeah.
ahead and run it on your PC. You know, another thing that's come out, and Eric, you were talking about this a little bit earlier. Starfield's first expansion is
In the fall, they pushed it back.
Todd Howard has publicly talked about it a little bit in an interview with Greg from, I can never remember what his company is called, but Greg, formerly of IGN, Greg Miller. Kind of Funny Games. That's what I'm thinking of. But obviously, there's a lot of I think that there's a lot of missing content, and not necessarily that they launched like an unfinished game, but for a title that we'd been waiting for so long, Starfield, slightly underwhelming, I guess is maybe the better word, just because, you know, NPCs, it still has that Bethesda, just like, you know, deadpan face, like they're just struggling with the emotions of things. Writing has really never been their issue, obviously from a story perspective, and you know, fleshing out these side quests and side stories. They're awesome. So I fully expect this game to be more of a, you know, continuation of doing that. And then in addition to that, you know, Todd also talked about, hey, we want to go ahead and, you know, fast track this next Fallout game, because obviously the popularity of the show is increasing, you know, the popularity of the games. We talked about it last week. I'm really curious to see, Dash, you mentioned it, but how funny would it be if we potentially get the next Fallout game before we get another Elder Scrolls?
It's just crazy that they've taken this long with Elder Scrolls 6, but I mean, I can only imagine what the size of this game is going to be with how long it's been, and just they got to be doing something ambitious with it, I think.
And so we, you know, one thing that I was thinking about this, well, Obsidian is finishing work on Avowed. You know, what's to say, and now they're all under the Xbox umbrella, like what's to say that maybe they don't say, hey, do you want to make New Vegas 2? Like, obviously it's one of the most widely celebrated, you know, Fallout games ever made. Just a thought. But in addition to this new Xbox showcase, we've got Summer Game Fest coming up just a little bit over a month away. So it's going to be a packed beginning of June. Like, especially if PlayStation does decide to go ahead and do their conference right around that same time. You know, I would really, really like to get Kingdom Hearts 4 information if we're going to start to see some of this, you know, potentially coming out, because it's rumored coming out 2025. If that's going to happen, we need some more info. So that brings us to kind of our main thing that we're going to be talking about during this part of the show today. Eric is going to be taking the lead chair today because we are talking about Escape from Tarkov.
Should pop some popcorn.
Yeah, and the controversy that is sure to follow, because let's start off by saying this. Tarkov is not a game that is new to controversy. It is a game that, you know, you have people banned very, very frequently for rules that are really unexplained for the most part. And then they
require sometimes, and the streamers go crying to Battle State, and people get banned because of it.
And then you have to buy the game. So you're not banned. That account is banned from playing the game. And you have to buy the game as new. So Eric, I'll let you kind of start off, because obviously you're probably the most versed in all of this. What is going on right now, and why are people up in arms?
So what you've been able to do is they had basically a couple versions of the game. They had the base game, and then you had Edge of Darkness. So that basically, it gave you bigger stash space, some better starting gear, and a couple other things. But the main thing is that on the website it said you would get free access to all future DLCs. And also you got Tarkov Arena for free with it.
Oh, damn.
So I mean, I think it was like $100. And I got it on sale maybe, I think it was $75 when I bought it.
What's the price of a new game or so?
Because I bought the base game, liked it. I said, oh man, I'll play this for a long time on and off. And so, but after a while, around the time Arena was coming out, I'm pretty sure, they actually went on the website and took off that EOD owners would get access to all the DLCs. It still had all the other stuff listed, but they took that off. Oh. So Arena comes out. Arena's a flop. I mean, it's just they poured a ton of money into it. It doesn't have a huge player base. A lot of people don't like it. And So you have all this going on, and what they've done recently is they announced something called the Unheard of Edition. And if you do not have Tarkov, you are spending on this.
Wow.
And what this gives you is you get Tarkov, you get basically all the stuff that EOD owners got, and you get a co-op PvE mode. Something that you actually have in EOD if you have it. It's just offline Tarkov raids, but none of your progress carries over from it. It's a good way to learn the maps and learn where the extracts are and things like that, and just practice different things and test out guns. But and then they announced also in their Discord that they would not, like, this isn't a DLC, so EOD owners aren't getting it, and they have to pay like another $125 to get it. And so this sparked a huge rage debate on the subreddit. The Discord went nuts. Guys like Landmark's probably the biggest Tarkov streamer. He was going in on these guys. Because really what it is just pulling the rug out in front of people, and it's bad practice. Yeah. I mean, really, it's just...
Especially if you think about it, this is a game that doesn't do advertising. They don't have, they have to rely on public, word of mouth, public goodwill. And they took all that community...
Streamers bring in
all
so
that
much
community
stuff.
Goodwill is just gone now.
And it's gone now. And so they have since backtracked. And Nikita Bjornov, or however you say his last name, he's the COO of Battlestate Games. He's kind of the OG of Tarkov. He announced that EOD owners would get the PvE co-op mode, and he was sorry that everybody felt that way about them. Not that they were sorry for having shitty practices. He was sorry that everybody felt that way about the Unheard of edition. And so they are going to end waves. In waves, they're going to release PvE to EOD owners, but they can't do it all at once because of their server issues. How the fuck do you need servers for co-op, for 4-player co-op?
Yeah,
like that. But it's bullshit. It's to get people to buy this edition who don't pay attention to all that stuff, and just it creates like a scarcity, a false scarcity. Because I might not get it, or I might not get it for a while. So why don't I just go ahead and buy it? Nah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. It's the extreme version of pay 2 days or pay $10 more and you can play 2 days early kind of a thing. Like,
I hate that pre-order stuff.
But you fall for it every fucking time. Is the thing. Like
every time.
Sometimes it depends on the game. If it's a game I have to play, sure. But
but if it's on Steam, you can just return it after 2 hours. So that's one of the good things.
There is that. Okay.
But man, it's frustrating because there's a ton of people. I mean, look. $100 on a game is a lot of money.
A lot.
Too outrageous. That's almost a console on sale.
If you're buying a Series S right now, that's more. Like, because we're seeing Series S out in the wild for $150 right now. Like, that is just insane. Like, how? I was going to say, how can they justify this? But it's because they see the dollar signs that come along with it. And the thing is, how many people are paying? Because I guess
there's a lot of people in the subreddit who have said they've paid for it already.
There's always a whale.
They do have a loyal, and that's what they're banking on. They're banking on whales and things like that. But it's just, I don't know. There are some small things you get with it, but man, it's like extra slots for the flea market to sell stuff.
Yeah,
it's $250. I better get a lap dance if I'm paying $200.
The word of the day is predatory.
Yes.
Which, if you've listened to this show, this has been an issue that we have talked about multiple times. I mean, Dash said it perfectly though, because this game I had never heard of Tarkov until you started talking about it, and I'm sure I would have eventually heard something about it. But I know more about it now because you play it. You're so passionate about it. Baby Bird Gang is very passionate about it. You've got a few guys in there who
it literally kind of started it started as a Discord for us to play Tarkov originally.
Yeah.
And there's I really wanted to play because of you guys.
Yeah.
And it is fun. I won't say it's not. Yeah. I've had tons of fun playing that game. It's very rewarding when you do well in it. It's also frustrating.
But they gotta be careful because this is not a unique concept that no one else can come in and not do better, right?
It's going to be. I think it's going to be hard. So there is a competitor coming out, and it's actually just released into beta today, or actually early access. So it's pretty much off. It's called the Gray Zone Warfare, and
I saw you posting.
It's literally just them copying it, little different maps and stuff like that. There's some different ways you can heal. I haven't played it yet. It's got mixed reviews on Steam so far. but I think this game was probably predicted to not be that big, and a ton of people are probably going to it. And it's just like their servers can't handle it. Apparently, it's a lot of people crashing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, I mean, if they weren't expecting them, to be that big, but this is a perfect example of opportunity meeting timing. And they, maybe they saw potentially, what was coming through the pipeline for Tarkov and how this
It's
would
front page on Steam too,
Yeah.
so that's just going to draw eyes to it more.
exactly.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's been like Helldivers took a jab at him about some, like spending extra money on stuff.
Helldivers has its own controversy right now with some of the nerfs and buffs.
Oh, did they nerf a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, but it's kind of like, I get it, but at the same, like, someone explained, it's like you can't just go in with a only buff concept, because it's just like someone's like, I have this gun. All right, I forget which gun he said it was, but it's like I can COD reload, and I'll still never ever have to need to pick up ammo often. It's just like, he's like, I'm not using ammo on this gun. So the fact that they have the total magazine size you carry for it, it makes it feel a lot more strategic and valuable on how I'm going to use my ammo now.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's about keeping the balance of, like, challenge versus fun, and, people want...
Well, and obviously Helldivers has done a lot of really good things. Just the way that they've managed their microtransactions is they're kind of the polar opposite. But
I think the railgun's actually usable again.
they're constantly trying to make their game better. They're not trying to, when you're buffing and nerfing things, it's because something has become so OP, and obviously they have statistics that are showing them that 99% of people are using this one specific loadout, or especially if you're doing like hell dive difficulties. And I'll never bash a company for trying to do that, for just trying to simply make their game.
And they've been pretty transparent. I mean, they don't insult their community mostly.
The Tarkov devs, it seems like they almost loathe the fan base,
even though you're the ones putting money in their pockets and making it so that they
was it like you that said that apparently they want out of it, or
so they are going to be making. There's a game they've wanted to make. The original plan for Tarkov was to end up being one map instead of multiple maps, and you would just pick which one you wanted to load in, and you would go exploring in this ultra hardcore survivability game. And apparently their plans are to make another game called Russia, like 2028 or 2027 or something like that. And that's been in the pipeline for a long time for them. It's kind of like their passion project. It's supposed to be the thing they're working on next. And that's what a lot of people are worried about, is that with this, people are even worried if there's going to even be DLCs available for the EOD.
Has there been a single DLC for Tarkov since they've released that EOD version, I guess?
I guess if you count Arena, but Arena is a standalone game that you can buy for $35 if you don't have Tarkov.
Gotcha.
But I mean, it's just there hasn't been any. I mean, they add stuff every wipe, but a lot of people are worried about that at 1.0. They're just going to kill the game, they're just going to shut it down and be like, all right, we're done.
Damn. That's pretty wild, actually.
Yeah, the community's not happy. And look, the community for the most part for Tarkov already is always not happy about something, because, I mean, cheating does get pretty bad, mid to early to mid wipe sometimes, and it gets pretty miserable. Because once you're doing the high level quest for high level loot, that's where all the cheaters are all the time. So it kind of gets frustrating. So people bitch about that a lot, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't just kill themselves forever by doing this.
We will be watching with great anticipation as to what the next steps are from Battle State and Escape from Tarkov. I think that was kind of everything that I had from my side. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to cover for today's episode?
Manor Lords came out. I have not had a chance to play it yet, but I did see, I think it broke a record for most concurrent players for a city builder with almost 200,000.
I've been wanting to pick it up. So
it's free on Game Pass. If you're a Game Pass subscriber, you get it. You can purchase it on Steam. They actually discounted it 15% for... So it's 25% off.
25% off right
25% off. And I mean, this is basically a game made by one guy. And I watched some streams of my friends play it, and it looks like it's a ton of fun. The maps aren't very big, but it's just basically everybody said that if you're expecting to go in, because the whole thing was, it kind of looked like at first this was going to be like a city builder, but you were going to have total war battles.
Yeah.
And you do have battles. Apparently, they're pretty fun. They're apparently very hard, but this is almost like 100% a city builder, first and foremost.
Okay.
And then the battles are just like land yap. But I'll eventually get to it. We might even discuss it a little bit next week. But
Yeah.
I downloaded it on Game Pass. I just hadn't had a chance to get to it yet, but it looked
Hell
like it was
yeah.
a ton of fun. You got to manage food. You got to make sure you're safe from the winter. You got to fight bandits off, things like that. You got to build roads,
That's-
taverns,
Is
so your
there
people
any
can go
kind of like
straight base.
procedural generation to it, or is it always just kind of
I
like
don't
the
know
same
if the
basic?
maps. I don't know if the map's always the same because I've been watching playthroughs that are already started. So, but I know you have. I think you can start at different spots on the map if you want, or it might just put you there randomly.
That's awesome. And it's actually sold over 1 million copies already, which is fantastic, especially for a very niche genre. You know, people who are extremely like passionate about city builders will probably know about this, but maybe your average consumer isn't going to be, you know, I can't wait to play Manor Lords. Like I myself, I think that would be a lot of fun. The game that was actually tops leading into this, do you guys know what it was? Just a guess.
Probably like Fallout
First.
4.
For a city builder? Or are you
Oh,
talking
city builders. I thought you meant like top sellers for like the month or something.
Yes, so top city builders in terms of concurrent player count.
Is it not City Skylines 2 or something, right?
City Skylines 2 was number 2 before this. So there's one game above that.
Isn't City Skylines 2 like getting panned currently? Or isn't it like a lot of people bitching about it?
I'm sure. I think it had some bugs or something.
It's
when
got
it
mostly
launched.
negative on Steam.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I imagine it's
but most recent is mostly negative.
I imagine the reason is because of performance, because that's usually what ends up being half the time.
About. It was it City Skylines 1, G?
It was not City Skylines 1. Any other guesses?
SimCity.
It wouldn't be Against the Storm, would it? I mean,
So
that's
the
me
answer-
plugging my favorite game.
The answer is Civ 6.
Oh,
Wow.
no shit.
Yeah.
Would you
With
count that?
Does that count as
162.
Does that count as a city builder?
I count that more as like a 4X.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going off of what PC Gamer said. So they're counting it. So
PC Gamer's a bunch of liars.
Know your genres.
But no, that's awesome, and glad to see them having success. Obviously, you know, when you're building out a new game, it's just like you said. I mean, when you're having basically one dev, that can be quite the undertaking. So Manor Lords is available now with very positive feedback on 21,000 reviews, released April 26th, so 4 days ago. Be sure to check it out if you're into strategy and city builders. So
Download it now on Game Pass.
and if you have Game Pass, it's free. So perfect. Anything else you guys wanted to dive into?
Nah, I don't think anything major gaming wise is out.
That was it for me.
All right. Well, obviously we're getting into the time where there's going to be a lot more news picking up, especially over the next few weeks. So definitely be sure to stay tuned. We are as excited as you guys are. We will catch you next time, and thanks so much for listening.
Have a good one.
Thank y'all.